Hello, Kabirians. It's a pleasure, as always, to be with you again. Today we have a very special video. As we've seen in other episodes, Addis Ababa is currently experiencing a renaissance, where we see infrastructure emerging every minute: buildings, streets, museums, cultural centers, and much more. Today we'll explore the Museum of Science and Technology from a rather interesting perspective to understand Ethiopia's historical legacy. Today, we'll see the exhibition of Ethiopia's diplomatic history with the world. Join us. We arrived early at the museum, and it was very pleasant to encounter a group of children who were also coming to visit. It's lovely to see the new generations interested in and studying our past. Remembering and understanding history is vital for societal development. Upon entering, a hallway greets us with the flags of all the countries in the world. Although Ethiopia doesn't have embassies in every country, more than 130 countries have embassies with Ethiopia due to its significant role in African and global politics and economy. Right in the center of the museum, in the skylight, there's a globe illuminating each capital where Ethiopia has diplomatic representation. Ethiopia has always played a fundamental role in diplomacy and global development. Nowadays, Ethiopia is striving vigorously to become a world-class diplomatic center. Humanity emerged here, in the Rift Valley in southern Ethiopia. Humanity laid its first foundations in this land to draw inspiration and expand across the planet. But officially, Ethiopia entered the international diplomatic scene with the Queen of Sheba when she traveled to the Middle East, specifically what is now Jerusalem and Palestine, amazed to hear the wisdom of King Solomon. From that relationship, a son, Menelik I, was born, who later became the king of Ethiopia and, among many other things, brought the Ark of the Covenant to the Abyssinian lands. Ethiopia's relationship with the world is strongly influenced by its strategic geographical position connecting Europe with Africa and the Middle East. From a series of kings and queens who ruled from Syria, Yemen, and Ethiopia under what we now know as the Habesha culture, to connections with Portuguese Catholics in the 17th century and significant cultural and commercial exchanges with India. The ports of Djibouti and Massawa were significant commercial meeting points, and their connection to continental Ethiopia was through Harar and Dar Dawa, through which Islam also expanded. During this period, in an attempt to survive, the multiple kingdoms withdrew inward and unified under a great empire, the Abyssinian Empire. A feudal system that lasted until the 19th century. This structure allowed them to resist Portuguese attempts to control the region, followed by the British, and finally the Italians in the famous Battle of Adwa, where the Abyssinian Empire, under the leadership of Emperor Menelik II and his wise wife, Empress Tetu, led the entire country to victory against the Europeans. This period also marks a significant event in Ethiopia's diplomatic history. Russia, with a small battalion, supported the Abyssinians during this great and important battle. Crossing this threshold of the Battle of Adwa, nothing was the same for the Ethiopian Empire or for Africa. While Africa lived under Europe's colonial economic model, Ethiopia understood that the only way to remain independent and respected was to bring the nation to the level of Europe in terms of technology, weaponry, and economic development. Emperor Menelik II, in a rapid plan, achieved major milestones such as introducing the first vehicle, telephone, and telegraph, building a railway that efficiently connected Massawa, Djibouti, and Addis Ababa, and creating a postal system, among many other advancements. Ethiopia's diplomatic history is extremely complex and diverse, from the roles played by various athletes like Abebe Bikila, Haile Gebrselassie, the Dibaba sisters, among many others who have been ambassadors of the country in the field of sports. A very interesting piece of information that we found at the exhibition was discovering that Ethiopia has a highly sophisticated internal procedure for making decisions regarding internal and external political situations. Nowadays, with a policy of transparency and a democratic development agenda and e-governance, citizens can know and consult how the country's decisions are made. One of the country's great prides is its active participation in the founding of various international organizations of high importance, such as the League of Nations at one time and later the United Nations, but undoubtedly, the crown jewel in Ethiopia's historical pride is having been the founder and still the headquarters of the African Union. Under the leadership of Emperor Haile Selassie, alongside Ghanaian President Kwame Nkrumah in the 1960s and with the support of newly independent African countries, the idea of creating an organization where African issues were addressed and African solutions were brought to Africa's needs was formed. To achieve this goal, Ethiopia was always the first nation to recognize a new African country upon gaining independence, followed by the rest of the members providing support to the new nation. In addition to this significant contribution, Ethiopia has participated in the formation of various international organizations such as the Universal Postal Union, the International Telecommunication Union, the International Civil Aviation Organization, among many others, up to its most recent integration into the BRICS+. Like any nation, Ethiopia has cultural elements for which it is recognized and famous worldwide. Its rich biodiversity has made it well known for coffee, a plant native to the south of our country. Coffee is a beverage with a rich cultural context, to the extent that it deserves a video dedicated solely to this topic. Coffee, for us, is a collective meditation, a moment of peace, an element where conversations of all kinds can take place with a tone of calmness and tolerance. A mystical environment where words and ideas flow magically in an exchange of opinions, always under the protection of a relaxed atmosphere by the scent of incense, freshly roasted coffee, and a delightful sprig of rue. Coffee has been a ceremony that has captivated all the leaders who have visited our country, from President Obama, Macron, Minister Lavrov, and even Queen Elizabeth at one point. Coffee has always been a magical and powerful element in diplomatic relations for Ethiopia. The diplomatic history of this country continues from its significant role in humanitarian aid, its openness to refugees, its great power to connect Africa with the rest of the world through Ethiopian Airlines, and currently, the huge role it plays in generating cheap and environmentally sustainable electricity with the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, which supplies energy not only to Ethiopia but also to basically all neighboring countries such as Sudan, South Sudan, Kenya, Somalia, and Djibouti. One of the great pillars of Ethiopian society and, of course, in diplomacy, has been women, from the long and interesting history of empresses who have ruled this land to incredibly intelligent interventions like that of Empress Taitu in uncovering the Italian deception in the Treaty of Wuchel. In recent history, we have great figures ranging from ambassadors to the country's president, Wazira Sahlawork Zewde. Today, 45% of the government is composed of women. Looking to the immediate and long-term future, Ethiopia embraces technology to overcome its challenges and achieve its dreams, with a very ambitious project to turn Addis Ababa into a smart city. The focus has been strongly on a digitization strategy not only of bureaucratic processes but also of internal government systems, understanding that technology is a great ally that allows us to take giant steps. Artificial intelligence, databases, automated processes, the Internet of Things, blockchain technology, and many other things are the allies on which the country is currently gradually relying to achieve its ambitious goals of eradicating poverty and other challenges in the next 10 years. Ethiopia's history is perhaps one of the oldest in the world and at the same time one of the most mysterious. As although its participation has been key in many important moments of humanity, today, in such an interesting and accelerated era as the one we live in, you have the opportunity to see for yourself the great leap that not only Ethiopia but the whole of Africa is making in leading a new series of political, economic, and development trends that will be key to preserving our civilization. Reconnecting with our roots, our origin is what the world is gradually trying to do. Visiting places and exhibitions like the ones offered today by the Museum of Science and Technology in Addis Ababa will help you discover firsthand this magnificent continent. As always, it's a pleasure and an honor to share our culture with you. Don't forget to subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and write your comment. Until the next video.